Hello everybody, welcome to another video about EQ Sage. Now this isn't my first video about EQ Sage, but I'm going to be highlighting some new features, like viewing models and exporting them to your PC. So EQ Sage is a web application that interfaces with EverQuest files and decodes them, and allows you to view zones and navigate through the world, and now has a couple more options as well. So the first thing it asks you to do, this is here at eqsage.versal.app. The first thing it wants is an EverQuest directory, and you can drag that on there or select it from the file selector. It's going to request some permissions to be able to read and write from that directory, and then you're in here at the landing page. And I've gone over the zone viewer before. We're going to circle back to this one here in a little bit, but the new feature here is the model exporter. So if I click this, jump right into this view, there's a lot going on, but right away it gives us a little hint about where we want to start, and that's by model processing. So this is going to start processing the global files from our EverQuest directory, global CHR, global OBJ, and that'll give us a baseline for models that are available pretty much everywhere, all the PC models and some other ones as well. After that, we are probably going to want to do some equipment processing, which is getting all the items, all the weapon textures and the shield textures and all that, and also loading Velius armor. So pressing that button will do that. And then there's a zone processor as well. So a lot of the textures and models are packed up individually in zones, and are only available in certain zones. So if I open this one up, it'll give a hint about Mistmore being the only zone that contains models for vampires, for example. So we have to kind of have a background understanding of where we're looking, what we're going for. And this model exporter is different from other model exporters, which typically run in a batch sequence and export everything all at once. We're targeting one thing at a time and exporting one thing at a time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run the process models, which runs through all my global files. And this might run a little bit faster than you might see it on your machine because I've already run all the textures in the background. So it's running through, exporting all the models, and we start off with a Looklin elemental here. But we've populated 70 models here, and we can see some familiar ones. We have all the PC models. I start off with Barbarian Male. We can cycle through these here with the arrows as well. And we can switch heads, and there are some bugs with textures right now, but that's going to be ironed out probably pretty soon. And because we have exported the equipment, we have all the Velius textures and all the classic textures here as well, and access to viewing all the different animations. And now that I'm maybe finished picking my selection, I can export that as a GLB, which is a binary GLTF file. It's everything packed into one. I give that one a click, and I want to test that out. I can throw into a GLTF model viewer. Let's run into this one, throw that in here, and that is ready to go. It's got all the animations, it's got all the textures that I want, and I could throw this into Blender, I could throw it into Unity or Unreal, and it should be just working right out of the box. So we only have one object from those global objects right here that looks like the POK book, and I probably want to process some equipment as well. So I'm going to process the equipment next, and this should give me access to a lot of items. So the textures in the models for weapons and shields. And the number that comes up here is going to be dependent on the version that you have as well. I'm targeting ROF2, but you can also target Titanium or Live, and should work kind of the same way. So I can search through here, and they have a name that's associated with the first instance of that in the database for EQMU. So if I was looking for short sword via Kesha, for example, short sword, I see instead actually short sword and Morin pops up. So if I know my items, then I can find my way around here. It's not perfect, but I think that short sword and Morin is better than looking at IT87. So this is just an intermediate solution. And we can cycle through all the different weapons and models here, and we can export that in the same way. Now with zones, this is a little bit different. So if we know that we want to, say, look for the house from Quanos Hills, I could look up here and type in coinosils, and I could process that zone. Runs through the whole process, and that had some objects in it. So it spit out 17 or 16 objects. I could cycle through them, and that looked like it might. No, it was not it. I might have missed it along the way. There it is. Okay, so now I have the house I was looking for, and I could do the same thing for any zone that I'm thinking of that has a particular model or a particular character in it, like the example from Mistmore. Right now I don't have those in the models, but if I were to run Mistmore, then the vampire models would pop out as well. So another way to do this is a kind of batch process as well, which allows you to filter by expansion and then run the process through everything. Right now I'm going to select Original Vanilla, which has 80 zones altogether. Gives you a little warning because this is kind of a heavy-duty lifting. And you go ahead and start. And it runs through the entire zone process as if you're exporting each zone in order to view it with the zone viewer. And after every zone finish, you'll get a little notification, and this could take a while. And I'm not going to run through all 80 pieces right here, but you will see that the number of objects and the number of models is increasing with each zone that we complete right here. So instead, I'm just going to refresh the page. I might add something to stop that kind of execution while it's happening. But instead, right now, just refreshing is the way that we do that. Now we have access to a lot of different objects to look at now that we've processed some zones. So a lot going on there. We can export that in the same way. So back to the zone viewer, if I pop into Plane of Sky, I'd already processed that, so that loads pretty much instantly. And this has been added here as well for exporting an entire zone. So if I go ahead and click this, it'll pack it up, apply some optimizations for compression, deduping, pruning, and that's not too bad, 7 megabytes for the entire zone right there for web format with all the textures and everything. So I can pop that in here, and just like I would in Blender or Unity or anything else, this is pretty universally supported GLTF, just the binary format. So that's how you use the zone export, and you can pop right back in here. So whatever your workflow is, you can go back and forth and do some exploring. That's kind of what I do. I just kind of check out all the models that I forgot even existed, check out all the animations. So it's a lot of fun. There's definitely some stuff that I would like to add, including granularity for adding textures. For example, being able to make exactly what you would want your character to have right here in terms of what they're wearing. So granularly change their chest, arms, wrist, hands, and give them something in their primary, secondary hand. So create really what you're looking for and then export that. So that's, you know, kind of a 3D printing character export digitally. That's an idea I'm probably going to implement pretty soon. And other than that, that's it. And if anyone has any additional ideas, something comes to mind, feel free to leave a comment, reach out to me in Discord. And this will just be updated regularly, probably within the next month or two, and then I'll just kind of leave it be unless there's any major feedback or requests in the meantime. But I hope you enjoyed the video and hope you enjoy using this tool as well, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya.